Hello everyone and welcome to BMW's 2020 R18. This is their new super cruiser, very much inspired from the motorcycles of their past. And we're looking at a motorcycle that really is fundamentally a clean sheet design. We've got a 1802cc boxer twin engine that's air and oil cooled. It produces 91 horsepower and 117 pound-feet of torque. We've got an all-new frame that gives the impression that it's a hardtail, but it does have a separation between the main frame and the subframe with the suspension system inboard. And this in many ways is the dictionary definition of what a motorcycle is, but the R18 certainly has its own personality with the huge fishtail chrome exhaust system, and I'm on the first edition, so there's even more chrome to go about on this motorcycle. Now let me start up the engine, get on the road, and share with you everything that I've discovered living with the R18 for this past week. So really, what is one of the most exciting elements of the R18 is just firing it up. You have these huge cylinder heads right in front of your shins, and it almost feels like they're bumpers on a car. They're that significant. So very simple startup. You just hit power, then just wait for the needle to tick round just to make sure you're in neutral. Clutch in and start it up. Now you can see that there's quite an abrupt vibration, but when you have the engine at idle, yes, it is dancing about a little bit in place, but it isn't unmanageable. You might see when we get onto the road that I find rev matching is a bit pointless in this bike, because when you do rev, you'll have quite a pull on those cylinders, so it's hardly ever smooth. But saying all that, let's now hit the road and show you what the R18 is like. So the R18 may have classic motorcycle styling. It might have the big engine of what you would see in pre-war motorcycles, but the rider triangle and the seating position of this R18 isn't quite the cruiser shape and stance that I think I was originally expecting from this motorcycle. Firstly, with the floorboards and the seating position that you have with the standard setup, my feet are directly under my knees. There's no real way to stretch out your legs on this, as you have the huge cylinders in front. Don't really want to rest my feet on those for the sake of them getting hot or uncomfortable or just damaging the beautiful chrome finishing of this first edition R18. And when you're on the move, of course, the wind is very much in your face, so I find myself leaning a little bit more forward on the R18 when cruising along. The floorboards are an optional feature on the R18, and as you can see here, you have a toe and heel shifter. Toe space I think is just a little bit cramped, but nothing that is of concern. Another thing that's an option that I honestly think is a bit egregious, given that this is a cruising type motorcycle, is that cruise control is an additional cost to the R18. Seems a little bit unfair to me. The view ahead is totally unobstructed, big beefy forks, and the ride is, I think, a little bit more on the firmer side as well, but it is no way punishing on a road, and I think this all lends to what is a fairly nimble motorcycle. The R18 does have a wet weight of 760 pounds, so it certainly is no lightweight, and because of that I find myself braking a lot earlier and a lot harder on this motorcycle than I would do on others. Now, with all that engine vibration when you're at a stop, it all totally fades away once you row up the 6-speed transmission. When you're cruising at highway speed, 6th gear, you don't even think the engine is running. It's that smooth. But you drop down a couple gears, the flat twin sound in this is very different to what I've experienced of the 1250 motorcycles on BMW's GS or RT. There's a lot more thwap and bassiness to the exhaust. So a German supercruiser this R18 is. If you're looking for a very classically designed motorcycle with everything that you would hope to expect out of a motorcycle, really, there's nothing that BMW is doing to reinvent this space, but that's not what it needs to do. It has to create a motorcycle with a lot of charm, where the looks alone and the unique selling features like the engine, like the heritage of this motorcycle, is what's going to get people through the door of the dealership and take one of these home. And if you're looking in the cruising segment, this isn't, I think, a total mile muncher. I don't see myself doing long distances on this, where I would do something like BMW's R1250 RT, but still, it's a tremendous piece of kit. So thank you very much for taking the time to watching this video, and I hope to see you again on the channel soon.